Aromatic Chat, the podcast that introduces you to registered, clinical, and certified aromatherapists around the world. I'm your host, Melissa. I'm a holistic life coach and a registered aromatherapist. Join me every other week as we chat with aromatherapists and hear about their aromatic journeys and how they use essential oils in their lives and in their businesses. Hey friend, welcome back to the podcast. This is episode number 33, Aromatic Chat with Jona Valdez. I'm going to be completely honest with you and confess that I almost forgot to press record. I was so excited to speak to this beautiful human that we got through all of our get to know you time before I remembered. So I'll just tell you, Jona is the owner of Fragrant Aroma, and she's originally from Iceland. Not only is she an amazing aromatherapist, but she's also a homeschool mom, which is something we share in common. And I caught up with her as she and her family were preparing to go home to Iceland on vacation. I can't wait for you to hear from Jona, so let's get started.
So I worked for my aunt for a couple of years, learned a lot, loved it. I really enjoyed doing that, but I always enjoyed more the well-being part of it, or fixing something that was broken, rather than the pretty part of it. So you give me really bad feet with fungus and everything, I'm in there trying to make that person feel better and shaving down the callous feet and everything. That kind of gave me a sense of joy and just to see them feel better. That was always my favorite part of working. And then the massage and everything. But in college, we didn't learn a lot about essential oils or aromatherapy, even though we did massage and body work. But I did write a paper on it. I cannot remember how it was, or if it was any good or anything. I'll have to dig it out one of these days if I ever make it back to my parents. Then I moved to the States for a year, then went back to Iceland to work for my aunt again. And then me and my husband, we weren't married yet, but we decided to move to England. And then I started working, did the same thing in England, back to Iceland, did the same thing in Iceland. So there was like 10 years of working in that. And then we decided to have a family. And 2001 is when I had my son, and then my daughter 2 years later. And then we moved to the States, and then it was 3 more, one in every place we moved to. But I had started in San Diego wanting to have a more natural approach to taking care of my kids. I just never was big in taking prescribed medication or anything, or over-the-counter stuff. So when I was taking care of my little ones, I was like, there must be something else. And luckily I had neighbors that were really into natural medicine. And so I learned a lot from them. But I wasn't really using any oils at that point, more homeopathy and herbs and Chinese medicine and acupuncture and stuff. There was a college in San Diego, so you could go to the college to be treated for acupuncture and Chinese medicine. But then I started learning, I know this is a hot topic, but I started learning more about vaccines, and I started putting 2 and 2 together about why my daughter and son came to America with no problems, and then they started developing asthma and atopic dermatitis, and it was because they were fully vaccinated in Iceland, but then US insisted that they were not, because they vaccinated much more here than in Iceland. And then they started breaking out. I didn't put 2 and 2 together until much later. And then I was like, okay, we need to do this natural. We need to take care of these babies well. And then I just started getting more interested looking online. And then I started using oils for mosquito bites when we were living in New York, because we swelled up. It was awful. That's when I kind of started getting interested again in, okay, this is, really powerful stuff. And this is really, natural and all this, but I didn't know anything about it. And then moving to Utah, the MLM capital of the world, you do see a lot of essential oils here. It's like everywhere. Everyone is a member of one of the MLM companies. And I really started looking into, okay, this doesn't make sense to me. This seems like not so safe. And then I started going online, and then I found nothing but contradictory information. I just backed up and I said, I cannot do this. I cannot use this. I had a newborn baby. I can't use this around the babies. I can't use it around the animals until I know what I'm doing. I'm responsible for my people. So then I started looking, is there any free courses? Found the introductory thing at AromaHead, did that, loved their the way they taught. So I started looking into how much it is to become certified. And you're first like, ooh, can I do that? You know, I'm a stay-at-home mom. It's a little bit much. And I just had fallen in love with the oils and what they could do, but I just couldn't, with a good conscience, use them the way I wanted to without knowing exactly what they could do, both good and bad. So that's when I started. So it took about probably 2 years to finish it all, just because homeschooling, taking care of babies, all that, you know. So that's really when I fell in love with it in a way that, oh, it's not just the fragrance, it's not just, you know, oh, these are cool, all natural things. It's like, this is really cool. This is like the chemistry, the, you know, what we can use it for, you know, on an emotional level, on a physical, on a mental. It's like potion, you know, make whatever you want, you know. So that's when I really, you know, was hooked. But it's always been in the way that I use it in a way that, how can I help someone? That is my passion. How can I make someone feel better by blending something, or, you know, just sharing information with them or whatever. So that's really sort of how I came about going down this route.
Right. And you mentioned homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I homeschooled, past tense, my kids. They're all grown.
Yeah. My oldest one was halfway through 5th grade, my daughter in 3rd, and my second daughter in kindergarten, when I pulled them out of school. And we were living in New York. And up until that point, I have friends that homeschooled. And I was just like, wow, you guys are amazing. I just could never do it. You know, it's crazy. But then we were faced with, in New York, of my son going into a really awful high school or middle school at that time. I was like, I can't do that to him. I didn't feel like, they were starting to introduce things that I just felt like was inappropriate for 5th graders. And then it was like, I didn't feel like they loved my son like he deserved to be loved. You know, he got scolded by, you know, the nurse for falling and bleeding, or for getting a nosebleed. You know, it's like, deal with this at home. And I was like, I leave my children here for a long time every day, and I feel like they deserve better. And there was a heavy burden on my heart that wasn't lifted until I made that decision. And I feel like God did put that on my heart, is that you need to do this. You need to invest all of you in them. And yeah, as soon as I made the decision, I was just like, woo, okay.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that burden. My daughter was in 8th grade when we decided to pull her out. And she was coming home with migraines and upset stomach and like almost having ulcers because she was so stressed in school. And we had been thinking about it for a few years, and it just got to that point, and it just, something snapped, and I said, that's it, we're done. You're coming home. And from that point forward, we homeschooled, and I think it was the best decision.
Yeah, for sure.
As an aromatherapist, what are your clients coming to you for? What's the most common thing that you see in your practice?
I would say aches and pains, and inhalers of some sorts, like whether it's sinus or stress, anxiety, that kind of stuff. I feel like that's the most. Sleep, you know, either I'll do like a lotion with a sleep blend, or a diffuser blend that they can diffuse before going to bed, or an inhaler they can carry with them. So it just depends on the situation. My son was having a hard time falling asleep, and he was in high school, and he just couldn't switch his brain off. So it took him a long time to switch off, and he wasn't staying asleep very well. Like, for example, of that, I had to find something that calmed him down, switched his brain off, and then kind of helped him keep staying asleep until he needed to wake up.
It's amazing what these plants can do for us.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite client story?
I guess it's a simple one, but there was a girl that was active in sports, high school sports. I think it was high school. She suffered from headaches. It was affecting her sport. And her dad contacted, he actually knows my husband, and he contacted him and said, hey, people are telling my daughter she should use essential oils. I heard that your wife's all into that. I made a salve for her that she could carry around and put on before matches or whatever. And she just wrote me like a thank you card, sent it snail mail, and it's like, thank you so much. This works so well. I don't have the headaches, when I'm doing sports. And so it's just like simple things like this. And you just like, okay, that was so simple, but it was so effective. And she's so joyful. There's just, I don't know, every story, it has something that makes you feel like, okay, I helped her do that, or I helped him do that. It kind of keeps the spark alive, I think. I don't know, it's hard for me to pick one sort of grandiose one or something, but I think there's all those little ones that just keeps you loving what you're doing.
Well, and you said something, you said it was so simple. What I did was so simple, but it had such an effect on her. And I think we forget, especially having the education, the background that we have, being able to make these blends and salves and diffusers and all the things, for us, it is simple, but it's because we took the time to educate.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. For sure.
But for that person who receives that gift, it can be life-changing.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's true.
So what was one of the stumbling blocks that you came upon as you were becoming an aromatherapist, or as you started your business? What was something that really kind of got in your way?
I wouldn't say necessarily this particular thing got in my way, but obviously it slows things down when you have a family and you homeschool and you're doing things just on the side. It's different than working full time at something like I did at salons, but being where I am, everyone has an essential oil bottle, 2 or 3 or 50. So it's kind of like you talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, I use essential oils. To me, I think here in Utah, that is probably the biggest stumbling block, is that everyone thinks they know oils because they get them in the mail monthly or whatever. So that's probably the biggest one. Yeah.
Like you said, Utah is the MLM capital.
Oh yeah, for so many things, not just oil.
Yeah, not just essential oils, for so many things. It's got to have something to do with Utah law that makes it easy for them.
Oh, I think so. It's been rated the best for small businesses, Utah, for like years in a row, I think. So they just had the taxes and whatever else are great for them. So they're all coming here.
Right, that makes sense. If you had to pick 3 essential oils to keep with you, what would those 3 essential oils be?
So I think, like so many, lavender is the universal, do it all oil. So that would probably be one. Then I'd probably need more of an uplifting, like a citrus, like a grapefruit or mandarin or blood orange or one of those. And then I would definitely want to have a grounding one. So you got all your bases covered. Frankincense, vetiver. I love blue tansy. I love vetiver. I love lavender. Those are really just stay with me. But if I had to choose, I would definitely find one oil for grounding, one for uplifting, and one for that could heal and calm and, do all the magic that, lavender type of plants can do. Yeah, probably. It's hard.
Nice. That is hard. I know. I asked this question and I'm like, oh my gosh, 3. It's so hard.
And then also, what is your favorite oil this moment?
Right.
So
exactly. Like right now, I've got this pink peppercorn that's just amazing. But
yeah,
later today, who knows what it will be?
Exactly. And that's how it is.
So what's got you really excited right now, either personally or in your business? What's lighting you up?
When I was still with AromaHead, still studying, I attended a webinar with Colleen Quinn, Lab Aroma. I was like, okay, I don't know anything about this plant, and I've done like herbal courses throughout the years, but I just didn't know anything about cannabis. So I was really interested in learning about it, and then I decided to sign up with her the beginning of 2020. It was like the second group that from her lab cannabis class, and so I got really interested in that. Just learning how the essential oils work so great with the plant. They just marry so well together, and then looking into all the benefits that the plant has. So I finished that, and then I started buying the hemp flowers and infusing into oils and making my own oils. So what I'm sort of dabbling in now is making different kinds of blends, tinctures or salves or something, mixing the hemp oil that I made with the essential oils that I feel like could boost the properties that I'm looking for in the hemp plant.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm looking into the carrier oils that I'm going to infuse it into. So I've infused into hemp seed oil, safflower oil, and different kinds that I'm looking at the cosmetic factor too. Like if it's going to be used on a face, you need to consider is it going to clog up the pores and all that. So I'm looking at lighter oils, heavier oils. So I'm doing a whole thing, sort of studying more up about the carrier oils too. So that's a really interesting thing that I'm doing now. Yeah, that's got me excited, actually.
That's really cool. Well, I was just sitting here thinking, like, you've got your college education, which was all about, beauty, the skin and esthetician and massage and all of that. And now you're marrying it with your aromatherapy to create these products that are, oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah.
Exciting.
And then then there's a person I know, he's a hairdresser here, that is creating his own CBD line. So I just asked him, can I look over the ingredients list and see if there's something that I think would be better or unnecessary or something like that. Because, when you're having a lab create something for you, even though you have input into it, unless you understand what each ingredient does, you're just going by what the creator in the lab is doing, So that was interesting to see how it's done commercially, because to me as an aromatherapist, I felt like there was way too many carrier oils for a body oil or a body balm, because when we as aromatherapists, we put together maybe up to 3 carrier oils, I would say. It's not much more than that.
The simpler, the better.
So, exactly. And there was like 6. And I was like, that's just going to raise the cost. So that was another thing that I was interested in. I'm looking on different websites to see what this ingredient, if that's good for the environment, has impact on the environment, is it good for your body, and so on and so on. That was an interesting thing, sort of a side thing for me to just do. And it gives me more insight into what I want or what I don't want also,
Very nice. I love that. You're always on the lookout for how you can help out other people. I love that.
Yeah. When you're interested about something and you start talking with other people that are interested about it, you just get excited.
That's great. So how can people find you if they want to work with you as an aromatherapist?
I'm listed on AIA and NAHA, but I also have, Facebook, Instagram. I have LinkedIn. I'm not very active on LinkedIn. That's a lot to manage, so, but you just want to make sure you're out there, whether you're active or not. And my website, it's just fragrantaroma.net. And on that, there's also links to Facebook and Instagram. It's just the little icons and on the top corner. So
that's great. I will definitely include all of the links in the show notes so that everybody can find you. As we close out, I want to give you the last word. Is there anything that you would like to share? Anything that's heavy on your heart? Any final inspirations?
There's a lot happened obviously over the past year. And, I think people have handled it differently depending on where they are in the world, or just even in the country, depending on restrictions and other things. I think that people just always need to remember there's always someone out there that's willing to listen. There's always someone out there that is willing to help. And obviously, being a God-fearing woman, there's always God for you. And I am so happy that we had that throughout last year, with our community and our church. And it's like, I feel sad to see how sad a lot of people are and hopeless. So I try to be there for whoever, whether I agree with them or disagree with them, whether our lives align or don't align. I feel like if you love them and show them that you're willing to take time out of your day to spend time with them and listen, I think that says a lot. And I think that's just what a lot of people need today, after being isolated for so long.
Yeah. Well, I believe we were created for community.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you said, whether I agree or disagree, whether we're aligned or misaligned, you're still human.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
I appreciate what you're doing in aromatherapy and like where you are physically, the challenges that you're facing, and yet you're still showing up. You're still just a bright light. I love that. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you and what you're doing so much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. This was wonderful. I really enjoyed it.
Hey friend, thank you so much for joining me today for this Aromatic Chat with Jona Valdez. I hope that you enjoyed hearing from her, and if you're out in Utah, reach out and connect, because we were created for community. I want to let you know that we have some exciting episodes coming up, so be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you're notified right away when those episodes are released. Please feel free to share Aromatic Chat with your friends and family. Be sure to check out the show notes for all of the links mentioned in today's episode. If you enjoy Aromatic Chat, be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You can find me, your life coach and registered aromatherapist, on the web at lemonbalmcoaching.com. I will see you next time with our next episode. Until then, peace, love, and aromatics.